think this should be our focus for today. Yeah, so reduce this so everybody can stay safe. Yeah, this is what we are going to focus on today. Friends, just so that I need to start recording. So I'm going to give me a few minutes. I want to mute the sound coming from as someone tries to join, those beeping sounds. I don't want it to be on the recording, so I will need to disable it. Let's say. Okay, announce when people down. Okay, I actually disabled it, so not sure why it's coming up, but okay. Click on this and it's okay. Okay, recording has started. Okay, friends, let's proceed. The first thing I want to talk about when it has to do with policy, even though we've done some things, it's the little foundation we have. It's going to help us to learn this further. I once told you all about something called JSON, right? But before we go about talking about what JSON is, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation, right? I want us to first of all understand some certain things, right? I want us to be able to understand that, do a little retrospect from what we've covered in previous classes. When we started, we talked about how Chief Abiola wants to have access to the cloud, right? And we are going to migrate all his staff and the services and things they do into the cloud, right? And we said that one of the services that helps us is called IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. I know I mentioned two things. That whenever you hear the word IAM, you should always remember authentication and what? Authorizations. Okay? Authentication and what? Authorization. I also try to make you understand that whenever we talk about authentication, it means you have access. Okay? You have access to go into the bank. You've provided your identity. Okay? Authentication simply means that your identity has been confirmed, has been approved. Okay. Now, but authorization, it's a different thing entirely. So you can have authentication, but you don't have authorization. Okay. So policy is one of the things that determines how we grant authorization. Okay. Other IAM components like users, like groups and roles, they help us with what? Authentication. But policy helps us with what? Authorization. It's very important that you understand. Now, there are different kinds of types of policies, but I don't want to dwell on that right now. Okay. But please, I want you to always remember that when we talk about policies, we're talking about actions, rules that can give us access. You understand? That authorizes us to have access into a certain resource on AWS. Okay? That's what we mean when we use the word policy. Okay? A set of rules, set of actions, okay? Or permissions per se that allows you, okay? Or denies a person, allows or denies a person to have access or operation over a service or a resource on AWS. Different ways of explaining it. Now let's move on to hands-on so that we can cover a lot of things within the short time we have. So JSON, I told you that JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. Friends, I want you to type JSON on your Google search bar. And when you do that, you're going to see a lot of results. This is what you see here, JavaScript Object Notation. Friends, just like text files, right? There are different ways we view files, okay? there are different ways of organizing files. That's what I'm saying. Okay, there are different ways we organize and store files. Okay, files can be stored in different ways, but one of the popular structure we use in storing files is what we call Java and JSON. Okay, so we have something we call XML and the rest of them. Now, while I don't want to dwell in this, data, okay, of course, is collection of piece of information, right? Data can be structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. Okay, data can be structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. Now, which is a mixture of both. Now, I want you to understand that if a popular format we use in representing structured data is called JavaScript object notation, okay, which is JSON, okay. Now, it works in the form of key value pair. Now, just for you to understand this better, without making this too complex, I'm going to share this link to everybody so that we can refer back to it in the course of the session. So I'll click here. I'll paste this and share it. I'm sure you all can see the links, right? Good. You should be able to see the link. Okay, good. So JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON is a text format for storing and transporting data. So you can just read more on this. So let's move on. Now, friends, this is what I'm trying to say. This is an example of a JSON string. Okay. For my fellow, for my people like me that are complete beginners, we are still learning how the tech things work. Please, I want you all to try and flow with me. Okay. I'm also learning these things as I flow with you. So there's something we call this, there's a way we arrange information. It's just like, imagine when we say, what's your name? The person tells you, my name is Peter. What's your name? My name is Nathaniel. What's your name? My name is Femi. My name is Rita. My name is Joy. My name is Vivian. You understand? So to store that information, the computer has different ways of storing it. Okay. Now, if you watch this, you see name, and then you see a colon, and you see John. Now, but did you notice that this name is in double quotes, and this John is in double quotes? Okay. So I want you to see this as the key, and I want you to see this as the value. I'll take it again. I want you to see this as the key, and I want you to see this as the what? Value. So what is separating the key from the value is a semicolon. I hope we got this. Okay, so this is a key and this is the value separated by what? Semicolon. So this is just one piece of data, just one piece of data, this. Okay, now if you want to now group many information, okay, you want to group several information about one person, the same John, you now put a comma and say age, column 30. So this is another information about John. But did you notice that this John has double quotes and this 30 does not have, because this is a number, okay? This is a number. Numbers, or what we refer to as integers, right? We don't put quotes in them, okay? Good. And if there is nothing there, instead of leaving it blank, we use null. Don't get confused. Please don't get confused, okay? It will make sense. So name, column, John. Age, column 30. Car, column null. Okay? So you can replace your name there. Name, column, your name. Age, column, your age, comma. Car, column. Because you don't want to leave, let's say you don't have a car. So instead of leaving it blank, you put null. So to put all these things together, we put it where? In a curly bracket. I'm sure you all know curly brackets. So let me show you. You know, there are different kinds of brackets. So if I come here and do this, right? And let's do this. And I get, no, this is what I'm, is what I'm trying to do. So you see this, I can come here. Okay, this is one. Let's come bring it here. So this is one. This is another one. This is another one. I'll put comma to separate it. This is another one. Sorry. Did you see? These are different kinds of brackets. Okay. So this is called coily brackets. Sometimes they call this one brace. Okay. Brace. But some people call it bracket. Some people call this one square brackets. Okay. Whichever kind of brackets you want to call it. And then the one of HTML where you see something like this, they call it angle bracket. You understand? Angle brackets. So, so the reason I'm saying so that you don't get confused, okay? So this is the one we usually use, okay? So we also use this one, and they all have special meanings, okay? So if you see something like this, I refer to it as coily brackets, okay? Some people call this braces. You can just call it bracket because in school, in primary school, this is what I'm always referring to as brackets. Then this one we call it square brackets. Okay. And the other ones are angle brackets. Good. Now we've understood that. Let's come here. So if you watch here, we want to group all these things to be one person's information. We put it in coily bracket. So once you put it inside this coily bracket, we call this thing here an object. Did you get that? Everything here is an object. So it defines an object with three properties. So inside this object, there are three properties: name, age, and car. That's what you see here. Each property has a value. That's what I mean by name, key value, key value, key value, key value pair. I hope this is making sense to everybody. Okay. If you understood this, please type yes. I'll come and check the yes later, but let's continue so that we can save time. So you can read more about JSON here, but I really wanted you all to understand these basics, okay? So, but if you want to learn more about JSON, you can come to this document. But this is the little I want you all to get now. So, but let me check one more thing here. One more thing I think we need to touch. Okay, this is actually where it started from. Yeah. So you can always start from here. So these are different types. We have strings, number, object, array. Okay, so this is how a JSON looks like. So this is objects. Whenever you put a coily bracket like this and put all these things inside, separated by comma, we call it an object. Okay. All right. So let's come down. Another thing we have is called array. There's something called array. Now, there's no explanation here, but if you come here and click array, you're going to see that we use square. Anytime we use a square bracket to separate anything inside quotes, we call it an array. Did you see that? So now there's no key value pair inside this. Just say Ford, BMW, Fiat. It's just like saying, how many children do you have? Peter, Femi, Mayowa. So if once you see this square, it means it's an array of children, an array of food, an array of pen. You understand? So I want you to always remember this square. That whenever you see square, we are referring to array. Okay? And whenever you see the coily bracket, we are referring to what? Object. Okay? When you see square, you're referring to array. When you see coily bracket, you're referring to what? Object. Good. So I think I have done let's see. Yeah, so I think that's enough. Let me see. Is any no, let's not touch this. So since we've been able to do this, it means you can always read further on this if you want to, but this is the little about JSON I want you to understand. So I think at this point we can move on with our learning. Okay, so we've known what JSON is and we've seen the types of JSON. Okay, and we've seen the JSON structure. Okay, so friends, I hope this is very important because we are going to be building upon this. Now, there are different types of policies. Okay, or before then, I want you to know that policies, right, are more like documents. Okay, I want you to see a policy. An AWS policy is a document. Okay, a document that is written in JSON. That's what it is. It's a document that is written in JSON, so you can store it. Okay, good. Now, that document is written in what? JSON. That's why I taught you what JSON is. Okay, now almost everything uses policy. Okay, everything. Some of you have live in a rented apartments. Some of you have landed properties you bought. Did you receive any policy documents? Maybe even when you want to travel out of the country, there's some policy documents they give you. So there are different kinds of policy documents. So I want you to see policies like rules, okay? The rules that tells you, that allows you to do certain things, okay? You're allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do this, okay? That's the concept of policy, okay? So from the previous class, we have learned that whenever we talk about policies, popularly, the two major types of policies we have is the AWS managed policy and then the custom policy. Okay, the AWS policy, I'll click on documentation and click on open this in a new tab. Okay, so I'll click on sign in. I hope you saw what I did. I'm trying to open this documentation. I right click on this and I opened it in a new tab. Okay, so I'm going to sign in here. So, but see the documentation I'm referring to here. Okay, don't worry, we'll come back to this at a later time. But right now, I want to sign into AWS. Okay, now I told you, friends, that two popular types of policies we have is the AWS managed policies and the customer managed policy. And I'm sure you all know this, right? And you know the difference. Beautiful. Now, let me ask a question just to see if you all got that aspect, then we'll move on. How many of you answered? I just want to know if the answer is yes or no. Can you edit? So I'm going to be getting two responses from you. Listen to the question. I'm going to be getting two responses from you. Okay. Can I edit an AWS managed policy? Yes or no? That's the first question. Can I edit a custom managed policy? Yes or no? So I want to get two responses. So your first response is for the first question. Your second response is for the second question. Okay. So please, on the comment section, just type, can I edit an AWS managed policy? And can I edit a custom managed policy? I want to see your response. Please let me know. Okay. Please put it together so that we can know. Okay. Somebody said no, yes. No, yes. I'm seeing no, yes. Okay. Okay. I can see no, yes. Okay. Majority of you all are saying no, yes. Okay. Yes for both. Okay. Somebody say yes for both. Okay. Okay. Yes, yes. Okay. All right. So because of time, I will leave you all to go and actually how do I put this now? I'll leave you all to just go and figure it out from the console. But the answer is simply the answer is simply no, yes. Okay, so but let's just go to IAM. So you just literally, I'll just use one of them and just show you right now. So you understand where and what we mean. Okay, so if this is how to locate the policies, so I'll just click on policies here. Okay, I hope you can see my cursor. Okay, if you select it, these are policies. Okay, now these are different policies. And if you click here, you see if a policy is customer managed or AWS managed. I told you what this one is in the previous class. Now, let's say this is a policy called access. Let's use this one, access analyzer. Okay, it's AWS managed. So if I click on this, okay, I'm trying to edit it. I can't find any option to edit it. If I click on this, or if I click on the policy, do you notice that there's nowhere I can edit it? You see that? There's nowhere I can edit it. So this is the reason why we said that this policy is not editable, the AWS managed policy. But the benefit of this policy is that anytime AWS creates a new feature, one of the major reasons why we have an AWS managed policy is whenever there is a new feature, or a new what is it called? A new service, AWS automatically will update the policies that are AWS managed. Okay. So you don't need to, for instance, if I create a new service called Achiever, right? You know that if AWS does not update this policy, right? It means that anybody that has administrator access will not have access to the service called Achiever. You see that? But only AWS creates new services, right? So they should be the one to update it such that anybody that has administrator access will have access to all the services. I hope this makes sense. Good. So you can also figure out about, so this is customer managed. If I click on it right now, you see the edit button is here. Good. So we've done justice to that. Let's move on. Now, let's learn how to create policies. How do we create policies? Now, I will click here and click on policies. If you click on policies, there are several ways to create policies. Okay, several ways. Now, if I click on create policies, this is what I want you all to see. Okay, we can create it from the visual point of view or from JSON. Okay, now my focus is going to be on the JSON because of time, but I will just show you how to use the visual so that you can learn it. All right, so if I want to create a policy that allows a particular user to be able to use S3 buckets, all I need to do is to come here and choose the service. Okay, so now these are the common or popularly used service. Okay, so if I come here, I'll choose S3. Did you see that? Now it tells me what action do I want this person to be able to do on this service. Okay, now by default, the first thing you should pay attention to is what we call effect, which is allow and deny. So do you want to allow the person to have access to S3 or you want to deny the person? So you can toggle between this. Now, the second thing you need to consider is what type of S3 action do you want to perform? Okay, do you want to list? Do you want to read, write, or you want to perform a certain kind of permission or tagging? So these are different access levels. Okay, now all you need to do is to toggle this and choose the one you want. If you say, for instance, you want to be able to just list buckets, just to check inside a bucket all the objects inside, right? You know, whenever you create a bucket, you see objects inside. If you want people to be able to see the objects inside the bucket, you can choose this called list bucket. In fact, I have done something here. This is okay now, although this is 3 popular AWS services and their action types. Okay, like S3 service, for instance, there's something we call action. I'll still touch on it. Okay, we have data actions, bucket actions, permission actions. You understand? So these are some popular ones. So when you see S3 list buckets, it tells you what it can do. When you see S3 get objects, it tells you what it can do, and so on and so forth. So I just did it for just 3 popular services, not for all of them. Okay, so I'm still going to touch this, but I just want you to get used to it slowly. All right, so now once you choose what you want, you scroll down. So I can collapse this. Okay, so you notice I have selected one out of the 16. That's what is showing here. Good. If you want to use the same thing here, you can do the same. But if this is the only one you want to do, good. You can scroll down and now say which of the resource do you want to apply this thing on. Okay, I'm going to talk about resource later. Just hold on. Okay, so You can say all the resources inside the bucket or a specific resource. Now, if I choose this, it might tell me this is not a good practice, but you see, the wildcard may be overly permissive, but let's just keep it simple. Let's keep it like this for now. Okay. So if this is all I want to do, right? All I need to do is to come down here and click on next. You see that? And then I'll click here and call it my visual policy. Did you see that? I'll come here, created this policy for S3 listing using Visual Editor. Okay, so I can scroll down. It tells me what is there and the access level, and then I can put a tag, and then I'll click on create policy. This is how to create a policy. One way to create a policy. Okay, and you can always find it under what? Customer managed policy. You understand? This is it here. Okay, so now let's move on to create another policy so that you can learn other ways of creating a policy. So the next way we will create a policy is called JSON. Okay, now if I click on this, you're going to see something that looks like this. Now this is where we're going to spend most of our time. And this is one of the primary reasons why I decided to have this session. Ideally, I shouldn't include this in the beginners program. It's actually one of the things I teach people in cloud security training. You understand? But it's fine. I want you all to just understand it, and just in case you see it, right, you'll be able to understand. For instance, let me ask you all a question. If somebody asks you they ask you to create a policy, right? To create a policy that is going to allow you, or let's say, okay, Chief Abiola, right, ask us, right, to create that he only wants their interns in his company, right, and he only wants the interns to be able to create an S3 bucket between 9 a.m., right, between 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's the only time they can create an S3 bucket. Anything outside that time, they cannot create an S3 bucket. Can you do it? Yes or no? Can you do it? Yes or no? That's a real world question, right? They ask you to create a policy that is going to allow someone to create a bucket. It's only between 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Anything outside that time, he should not be able to create it. So we have one yes, we have one no. So that is how I want you all to think. Okay? I'm not teaching you all so that you can just look at the policy. Okay? No, I want you to think of it from a real world perspective. Okay? Now, because of that, I've actually documented some things here. Okay? Now, if you watch here, restricting access to sensitive data. What if you are asked to create create a policy, right? That is going to restrict somebody to sensitive data. You can read this. This is the use case we just did here. You understand? And this is how the policy looks like. So if you scroll down, this is how the policy looks like. Do you understand? Like this particular use case here, this is the task, this is the answer. Now, some of you could be looking at this thing, man, this is so confusing. I don't even know what is all these things that is flying up and down. Don't worry, I got you. This is why I need to take you to explain how to create something that looks like this. Okay? If you understand how to create something that looks like this, my job is done. So let's move on. We come here. So inside this place, so if you watch here, you're going to see something similar like this. Okay, this is a policy editor. Okay, friends, I want you to understand that the first thing, if you look at this very, very well, you're going to see that there are 11 lines here. Okay, 1 to 11. Now, did you notice that there's a curly bracket here? Let me increase the font so you can see. So you won't have any reason not to. So let me increase it again. One more layer. Good. So if you look at this closely, you see that we have an opening coily brace or coily bracket here and a closing coily bracket. Just removing this alone, right? It's going to throw an error. You understand? So it's very, very sensitive. Okay. Now I'll close it back. Okay. Now this is very, very important. Friends, do you remember when I told you about the JSON? I told you anything you see inside this coily bracket, what is it called? An object. Anything you see inside a square is called what? An array. Good. Now, friends, let's go inside this object and break it down. So if you look inside this object, right? Let's say this is the object, this is the object. What do you see there? You're going to see there are only two key values, which is this is one, and then this is another one. Let me show you what I mean. Watch this. I'm going to collapse this. Watch. I'm going to collapse this. Can you see this? This is what it means. So can you see inside this coily bracket? Inside this coily bracket, there are two what? Two values. So this is the key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. Okay, there are two what? Or two records inside, or two properties, like we learned here. If you remember, you can come here and you see it here. We said it there that if you see name John, age 30, car null. If you count this 1, 2, and 3, what did you see there? It defines an object with 3 properties. Okay, 3 properties. So can you use the same knowledge here? So after the comma, what do you see? This is 1. Okay, so there are 2 words, 2 properties inside this object. Now that you've understood that there are 2 properties inside this object, right? Now, let's explain each one of them one after the other, okay? So, anytime you want to create a policy, friends, this must be there, okay? AWS need this version to be there. So, this is the policy document, right? It follows what we call a syntax. Okay, there's a particular syntax it follows. Okay, so what we mean by syntax is like saying pattern. Okay, there's a particular pattern it follows. Okay, and there are different versions. Okay, different versions of this pattern. It's just like I'm telling you, I have learned how to cook a soup, right? Or to prepare a dish. I have a method I use in preparing a dish. If I come tomorrow and told you, oh, no, 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 I went to Japan the other day and I have learned another new method. In fact, I will not be using the old method, which means I have 2 methods. Is that true? Or so I can use the word 2 versions. Okay, so I want you to know that AWS has different versions of policy documents. Okay, so this current version, this is the ID, or this is how to tell AWS the particular version to use. I know it is not using ID. We are used to version using ID or number, but AWS decided to use date as the version number. Okay, so please, anytime you are creating a policy, always make sure that your policy has this. It must have this. Okay, it must have this version. Okay, good. Now, before we do that, let's open our VS Code. So I'm going to open VS Code because that's where I'm going to show you how I'll be creating my own, just so that I don't want to use this for now. Okay, I'll come and say code. All right, so I'll just write new window. Okay, cool. So I'll click on this and open folder, desktop, right? Trainings, cloud engineering bootcamp. So okay, this is for day 7. Okay, I've not moved day 6, 5, and 6 into this place. Okay. I'll select this. So this is just a simple, you mustn't do exactly what I'm doing, okay? But I'm just going to create a file here, okay? I'm sure you all know how to work with VS Code. It mustn't be VS Code, all right? So I'll just create a file here. I'll just call it policy, okay? Dot JSON, okay? Dot JSON, and hit enter, okay? Take note of what I'm doing. Policy dot JSON. Good. Now, inside here, I want to create my policy. We are creating AWS policy, right? We want to learn how to do it by ourselves. I told you the first thing you need to do is to do this. Is it not true? You must always have something like this. Okay. Now, inside that object, you need to, we have two properties. There's always two properties. Is it not true? The first one is called version. The second one is called what? Statement. Okay. So I'm going to do this. Okay. So this is the first one called what? Version. Did you see that? Then you see column, and I'll put double quotes. Is it not true? And then I'll put the date, which is 2012, if I'm correct. I think 09 or 012. Let me confirm. 2012 1017. Okay. 2010, 2012 10-17. Did you see that? Now, I have just added, I told you that the AWS policy usually have what? It has what? Two properties. So I've added just one property. Okay. One property always have key and value. All right. Good. So if you want to put the next property, how do you do it? You always put a comma. You see that? And hit enter. All right. So now I'm going to put the next property. So I'll do this. Okay. Did you notice that error has gone? If I see without this quote, can you see this scribble here to tell you that there's an error? Okay. Good. So, but I will put this, it removes it, say, okay, you're a good boy. You see that? Now, the next thing we have here is statement. Okay? Statement. Okay? Now, if you notice, it's telling me there's an error here. Okay? So, what do you want to put here? So, what if we don't want to put anything? I can say null. If there is nothing, I'll just put null. You remember? Yes. So, but before I move on to anything, friends, this is very case sensitive. I repeat, it is what? Case sensitive. If you come here and change this V to small letter v, do you understand? When you try to save it, it will give you this error. Did you see that? Just because you changed it. So it's case sensitive. This, not everything, take note, not everything. I'm going to be explaining it bit by bit. So this is, first one is not case sensitive. The first one is, the first one is uppercase and other ones are lower. So leave it just the way it is. Okay, good. So that's why I did it like this. If you understood how to create exactly this, please type yes on the comment section. Just type yes on the comment section. It's not coding. It's not coding. It's not coding. It's not coding. I can see, I think this is should be Jonah or say coding. Trust me, by the mercies of God, I'll take you all slow and steady. We'll get it. Okay? We'll get it. We'll get it. So that's why I'm taking it slow and steady without. Don't worry, Mr. Babatunde. I got you. Okay. So now, if you watch here, I told you that every policy must open with this. It must always open with this. Not every policy, I say, but AWS policy always starts with an object like this. You open it like this, you open it like this. And I told you it must always have two properties. This is one. After the comma, you have another property. If I want to add the third one, I'll put a comma and come here and do like this and say subject Did you see that? I'll put a colon, and then I can come here and say cloud engineering. You see? But no, AWS does not accept, as it right now, AWS only uses two, not necessarily two per se, but I will explain. I will explain. Not necessarily two, but right now it's only two that is there. Okay. So I hope we all can get this. Okay. So there's usually just two properties. And inside the two properties, you can get a lot of things. So this is the repetition. I hope you all have gotten it. Now, let's move on. So if you notice, the version takes a string, which is this. Whenever we use the word string, just know that there's quotes in front of it. Okay? If I remove this quote in front of it, it's only number. You can call it integer. Don't worry. Slow and steady. We will get it. All right? So we don't change this. In fact, don't stress your head. Just copy this and paste it. Okay? Always just copy it and paste it. I'm teaching you how to read the policy document, because if you can read it, you can create it. You can always get it online, copy and paste. But if you don't know how to read it and AWS gives you an error, you will have a problem. Do you understand? So you might not necessarily know so much. Just learn how to read it and interpret it. Do you understand? Good. So that even if you're using AI or any platform or documentation, you get somebody's policy from somewhere and paste it, you know what the thing is doing. Okay? That's what I'm teaching you, how to read it. But of course, I'm teaching you how to create and read it. So so now we don't need this. So I'm going to remove this. Okay. Now, because we don't have anything under, I can remove this comma. So watch it again. So if you notice, there's comma here and then this last one. If you notice, the last one doesn't have any comma. So it's not after you put, so after the first one, you put comma, after the second one, you put comma, after the third one, if you try to put comma in the last one, it will give you an error. So the last property does not always have a comma. Did you see that? So the last one does not have a comma. Take note of that. So which means if I remove this right now, notice that the second property has a comma here. Okay, this second property has a comma. So if I remove this one, okay, did you see that? And I leave this comma here, it's telling me there's a trailing comma. There's a problem. So I need to remove it. Then everything will be fine. Did you see that? Good. Now let's move on. Yes, I use null. This null I use here is for nothing will be there, but there's actually something there. So I'm going to remove it. Okay. Now let's come back to what is it called? What AWS gave us. So if you watch here, you're going to see that AWS put a bracket there, square bracket, square bracket. Okay. So this square bracket, if you remember what I told you, square bracket means what? Array, array of children, array of food. Okay. Good. Array. So now, if you click here, you see a lot of things, which is to unfold it. Okay. Good. So this is what you see. Inside the square, you can see one statement. So okay, let's take it slowly, slowly. So if I put a square here, right, which means this can take so many things. So this can take an array of food. An array of food can be something like rice, okay, comma, and say beans. You see that? So this is an array of food. So instead of using statements, I can just to make it meaningful, I can come here and say food. Did you see that? An array of food. So anytime you see this square bracket, just know that it's referring to array. So you can separate all the items with comma. The last one doesn't always have comma. Did you see that? Aha. So rice, beans, if you want to put yam, you put a comma, put yam there. Did you see that? So this is an array of food. Is that true? Now, but AWS is using statements. So let's come here and change this to statement. Okay. Now, inside this statement, right? Inside this that AWS is using, AWS is saying that you can even go much more. Do you remember that anytime we use curly brackets is an object? So AWS say you can even have an object here and put something inside. Did you see that? Inside this place, you can put comma and put another object. Did you see this? Like this curly bracket here is object. This is so anytime you see curly brackets, it says object. So I can store something inside here. I can store something inside here. So which means inside here, I can choose to have so just like name. So inside, so watch me, watch what I'm going to do. So this is what an object looks like from what I've taught you before. Okay. So if I come here and say name and do this and say Ima, did you see that? This is an object that has what? Only one property. So if I come here and do this, put comma and say age. Did you see that? Put the column and put 20. Is it not true? So this is an object that has two properties. So do you know that? Let's do for what is it called? Two persons. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So instead of using Ima, let's use Vera. And instead of using 20, let's use 30. So there are two names here. Is it true? So if this is an object and this is an object, so anytime you see this array, it's telling you it can take many things inside. So if you see this object, it means I can store this one inside here. Did you see that? Let's reduce the font again. So I can store this first one. So let's delete this. Okay, this one here that I pasted here. You see, I pasted it inside this first object. Did you see that? So this second one, let's remove it and paste it inside this place. Remember, we put a comma. We put it here. So you notice that I put two braces. I was not supposed to put the two of them. So I was supposed to only copy what is inside of it. Do you understand? And put it inside here and paste it. Did you see that? Good. Then I can remove this. So did you notice that it didn't give us any error? So which means that this inside this array, there are two objects. This is the first object and then the second object. If you understand this so far, please type yes on the comment section. It's going to make sense, friends, when we watch this video at a later time. I can guarantee that. That's why I'm taking it slow and steady so that we can all put the whole pieces together. Okay? Yes, don't worry, I'm going to take it slow and steady so that you all can get it. Okay? Okay? So remember, I'm trying my best not to go further teaching you JSON. Okay? But I'm trying to relate this based to how to create a policy. Do you understand? How to create a policy. So now, if you watch here right now, you're going to see that this is version, right? Now let's correct this error is because of this V, a small letter. Let's correct it to capital letter V. You understand? So you see it's gone. Now, remember that this is what we have. Did you see? Inside this square, we have only one object. You see that? If you click on this, you're going to see what is inside the object, that there's several properties inside. Did you see that? So, friends, I want you to understand that inside this statement, this is statement 1. Did you see that? Statement 1. I can choose to have two statements. So I can come here, copy this. If I want to put another statement, what do I do? After this one, first one, what do? You put a comma. Is it not true? And then you paste. I'll hit enter and paste that other one. Did you see what this is after the first one, I just pasted another one. So this is what I just did here. Okay. After this first one, I just created another one. Okay. It's just copy and paste. So this inside this statement, this is the array. This is just arranging it so that it will look neat. Okay? Don't bother about the arrangement. I can choose to move it to the left, move it to the right. So, but all I want you to know is that inside this statement property here, you see that this is an array and it has two objects inside. You understand? Two objects inside. So it is similar to this one here, whereby you have an array, but there are two. This is one object, and this is another object. And we separate each object with what? A comma. Did you see that? So this object, another object, so separated by comma. So if you click on it to unfold it, and click on this to unfold it, do you notice that we are getting an error? So there are two statements here. Two statements here. Now, the reason why it's giving us this error is because of what is inside. So this statement should not have the same. So there's what we call SID, which is statement ID. This one, statement ID. They must be unique. They must be unique. Okay, so if I change this one to statement 2, you will notice that the error has gone. So this is statement 1. Everything inside here is for statement 1. Everything inside here is for statement 2. So how does this work? This is, for instance, maybe I want to create a policy. This statement I'm creating here is for S3 buckets. This other statement I'm creating here is for EC2. Did you see that? So anytime you see something like this, that's what I'm trying to teach you now. So did you see that this is an array, and this has one statement here, and then this one has another statement here? I hope we're getting the layout now. I'm taking it slow and steady so that we can get the layout. So that's exactly what I'm explaining here. So this is the layout. This is the layout. Okay, good. Now let's dive inside. Okay, slow and steady. I can assure you, if you watch this video again, you will get it. Okay, don't worry, just continue following. Okay, so inside the array, we have objects separated by comma. Okay, so you notice that this one is here. I can bring it to the front so that they'll all be on the same line. It doesn't matter. You understand? It doesn't matter. So it's just to make it look neat. So if you collapse this and collapse this, you're going to see that they're all in the same line. That's all. Okay? Nothing much there. So this is statement 1, statement 2. Okay, friends. Now let's remove this. No. This remove is going to remove everything here. So now we're still learning. Okay? We're still learning. So we are taking it slow and steady. So friends, now you have seen what is inside a particular. So every statement, each object of a statement, like this particular statement, has what we call another property inside. Okay, so this is SID, statement 1, effect, allow, action. So anytime you see this square, it means that this action can take what? Arrays. You see? Anytime you see resource and you see this square, it means it can take arrays. Just have that at the back of your mind. Okay? Now, friends, let me explain what each of these things does. Okay? SID means what? Statement ID. Okay? And again, this SID is case sensitive. If I remove this and put small letter S and move away, did you notice that it's giving you an error on this? So take note of that. Okay? It's case sensitive. Good. Now, so the same thing with this effect, the same thing with the action, the same thing with the resource. Okay? Now, this is only for this one here. Now, let's take it SID, which is statement ID. Now, I told you that this statement ID is, now, this statement ID can be anything. You notice it's statement 1 here. I can change it to anything. I can remove this and say, well, it's just anything. Now, the reason, if you watch here, the reason why you are seeing all this is because of this quote here. If I remove that quote there, Did you notice that it removed that error there? So, well, it's just anything. Okay, so that I put statement one does not mean that. So just use a meaningful name that will describe what you are doing. So if you come to this real world use case, you will notice that, okay, now that's another thing I want to talk about, which I need you all to know. So must you always have a statement ID? The answer is no. Okay, so it is optional. So if you want to remove this line, you can remove it and nothing will happen. Did you see that? Nothing is going to happen. It's going to be fine. I hope that makes sense. But in case you see SID, I want you to know what it means. That's why I'm explaining it. Okay, good. Let's move now. But let's come back and let's. Okay, sorry, undo. Good. Now, while this is different names, okay, undo again. Let's get back to statements. Good. So this is statement one, statement two. I told you that, okay, and whatever you put inside here is case sensitive. Okay, now notice that this is statement one. Did you see this is statement one? This is statement one, and it's telling us there's an error. Is it not true? It says unique SIDs are required. Unique statement ID. So both of them are the same thing. So I must separate it. Okay, that's what it means. So imagine if I say, okay, the second one should be small letter s. Did you notice that the error has disappeared because they are now unique? It's statement one, but the first statement one is uppercase, capital letter, and the second one is smaller letter. I think that's enough for the SID. Okay. Now let's move to the next one, which is effect. Okay. What does effect do? Effect tells you it tells you what you are permitted to do. Okay. What are you are you allowed to do something or not? So there are two options. Either it is allow or what? Deny. I don't want to waste much time again. So in this effect, either you choose what? Allow or deny. So if you want to deny somebody from doing something, you are going to always change this from allow and use what? Deny. We did this in the last class. Friends, I hope we all understand this. Now, but I'm going to do a practical here right now so that we can understand this effect much more. Please, let me ask you all a question. So I'm going to write a policy right now, okay? So if I come here and say, this is statement one, this is, let's change this thing so that we can retain it and so that everybody can be able to flow. So this is statement one, statement two, and this is saying deny, this is saying allow. So this action, I want this person to be able to do anything. So I will come here and say, so if I come here and I'm going to put something, don't worry, we're going to get to this point and I'll explain what is going on, okay? So, okay, I'm going to explain what's going on. Don't worry. Okay, so I'll just come here, copy this. This is just me trying to do a demo. Okay, so now, I'm going to do this and say any of the resource, any of this resource. Now, so friends, these are two statements. Okay, two statements I just created. Okay, so this statement says anybody, this is a simple policy I'm creating right now. So anybody that has this policy, the first one says, this first policy says, anybody that has this policy attached to it. Okay, if I create a user right now or create a group and attach this policy, this statement one policy to it, right? It means that the person will not be allowed to do anything on S3 bucket. That's what this means. Okay. Now, no kind of action on S3 buckets on any of the resources. Now, this second one says, I want this, anybody, this this same person that has that same policy, right? Because they are both in the same document, which means there are two statements. So after the first one, the second one. So the order does not matter. So whether you put this one up or put it down, the order does not matter. Okay. So this one says allow, but you notice it's the same thing here. Okay. So now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to create this policy right now. Okay. So let's create the policy and click on next. Let's reduce the font size and scroll it, come back here and call it my special policy. Okay. And click on create policy. So now if you check here, you're going to see that there's a policy here. If you click on here and say custom managed, you're going to see my special policy. And if you click on this plus, you'll be able to see the policies inside. Can you see? I hope we all can see it. Now, friends, let's say this user, there's a user, let's say there's a user called, because of time, because I really want to cover a lot, because of time, let's say there's a user called Abiola, right? If I attach that policy to Abiola right now, and I tell Abiola to log in, question, will Abiola be able to create S3 buckets or not? That's the question. Oh my God, screen is lagging. I apologize. Friends, I sincerely apologize. Okay, some people said no, some people said yes. Some people said no, some people said yes. So in case, because of the lagging, let me explain what I did. I simply created a policy that has two statements. The first statement says, allow the person to create S3 buckets. The second statement says, deny the person to create S3 buckets. And both of those statements are inside the same document. So if I attach it to a user called Abiola, right? If Abiola logs in into his own console, my question is this: will Abiola be able to create a bucket? Yes or no? That was the question. So some people said yes, yes, yes. So majority of the people said yes. Only 2% said no. Okay. Now, if you don't know, just type I don't know. Let's just see. Yes, yes, no, or just say I'm not sure. I'm not sure, not so sure. Put it that way, so that I want to know. Please, can I get more responses, please? Not sure. Yes or no? Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being honest with me. Thank you. Thank you, friends. Thank you. Okay, now just because to save time, right? Please, if you're watching this video, I encourage you to practice this because there's so many things I still want to cover. Okay, and you see, we are already getting to time is almost wrapping up. You understand? Aha. So if I wanted to put a clickbait, I'll tell you, okay, you know what? Let me just give you a taste of it. If you want to learn more, just register for our cloud security training. You understand? But I want to cover as much as possible. So I've given you the analogy, right? So please, I encourage you to please practice this now. Okay. So it's very simple. I've created the policy already. Okay. So you all have seen me when I created the policy. You can see what it looks like. Okay. All you need to do is just go to policies. Okay. You can click here, select customer managed, click on my special policy, and you'll see it here. Okay. Let's click on copy JSON. If you want, I can even share it with you, but I mean, I'm sure you guys can create it. Okay. It's not something difficult. Okay. So now to answer this question, the answer is no. The answer is no. It won't work. You know why? Anytime. So even if, okay, anytime you see deny in an effect, even if you have 20 statements, because you can have statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, statement 4, even if you have 20 statements and 19 says allow, okay? And they are even targeting the same S3, okay? If there is just one single deny on that same service, okay, it's going to block everything. So deny always win. Did you get that? Deny always win. Mr. Paul, everybody's so you need to create the policy. If you don't create a custom policy, you will not see it. Okay. Perhaps you've not seen it because you've not created one. Okay. So once you create one, like I showed you now, you'll be able to see it under the custom policy. Okay. That's how it works. Thank you. So yes, Mr. Banjoko, yes, you're correct. I don't know because broad policy says deny and allow. So I'm sure you all get the answers now. So you can try it out and let me know um on on the Telegram channel. Okay. So the answer is no. Okay. Deny will win. Okay. So let's move on. Let's move on. So we'll go back to we've copied this, right? Or let's click on edit and see it's going to take us back to how we edit policies here. So I just want us to still good. So now, friends, we've been able to learn about effects. We've learned about SID. Now, what about actions? Actions. Friends, do you remember? Did you see that action has a square? I was the one that put this thing here. Okay. Before, this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. Okay. This is what it looked like before. Okay. I was the one that did it, added something. This was the way it looked like before. Is it not true? Good. So I added something. So anytime you see this square bracket, what should come to your mind? Arrays. Arrays. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it gets a little bit small, complex. Now, when you see action, so the question is this: what kind of action do you want to perform? So, friends, all these things I try to do it here so that you don't have to stress yourself. Okay. I'll also try to get more notes to buttress some of these things. Okay. Now, action is very, very important. Every service has its own type of action. Okay. Every service on AWS, S3, EC2, IAM, all of them, they have their own actions. So, friends, you need to know this very, very well. Whenever you are talking about actions, right? Anytime you're talking about actions, you ask yourself, which of this service, like this thing I did down here, how what if it's not S3 I want to do? So the question you should always ask yourself is, which of the service do you want to create a policy for? Like when some of you were asking about creating IAM, what is it called? Billing, right? Regarding the billing. So at that instance, you may not even know. So how do I create a policy for that billing? You understand? Now, first of all, where does billing fall under? That's where you need to ask yourself that question. Okay. Now, but let me show you something. So, remember I told you something about this documentation. Do you all remember? You remember how to get this? If you don't, just type AWS documentation on Google to bring you here. Now, when you get to this AWS documentation, ladies and gentlemen, if you scroll down, I can type it here, but I usually use this. So on all products, I'll click here and I'll type IAM. Okay, IAM, and click on what? Identity and access management. I'll click on this. So this is what I have here. Now, when we have this AWS identity and access management, so if you want, I've said it to you before, if you want to know a lot of things about IAM, you can download this PDF, okay, and read more about it, okay? Now, please, for any of you that need material, these are very, very good directly from the source, okay? Now, but this is not where my focus is. So if you look here, you see a lot of things, okay? But just still on this IAM. Now, okay, I would have said let's go here, but let's take it easy. I'll click on this IAM user guide, the user guide. I'll click on it. Now, when you click on the IAM user guide, it's going to open a page that looks like this. Okay, so I'm going to share this. Oh no, still on it. Now, if you're on this page called what is IAM, okay, did you notice there are many menus here, right? Menus here. You can scroll down, okay? You see different cascading buttons or so that you can click and so on and so forth, okay? Now, the only thing I want you to do right now, let's collapse this so you don't get distracted. So this is all the things we have here, okay? Now, I want you to click on this reference, okay? Reference, slow and steady, okay? I clicked on this reference. Can you see that? Reference, please. Now, can you see this policy reference? Policy what? Reference. I'm taking it slow and steady. When you watch this video, you understand. So I'll go to policy reference. Now, did you notice it showed me this page? Good. Now, two ways. Either you click here, action, resource, and condition keys, or you click on action, resource, conditions keys for AWS services. So either this one or this one, they'll take you to the same place. So, but I can click on this. So I'll click on this. Okay. Now, friends, don't worry, it won't become more complex than this. So this is actions. So this is just going to show you a huge table, okay? Action, resource type, condition, okay? So if you scroll down, you're going to see different things here, okay? So anytime you want to talk about action, okay, ask yourself, which of the action are you looking for? Okay, if the action you're looking for is S3, maybe you want to create a policy for S3, right? All you need to do is to come here and look for S3. So if I come here, I'll scroll. I'll look for AWS what? S3. If you keep scrolling, you could find S somewhere. S. Good. This is S3. Did you see that? Now, if it was IAM, I would have come here. If you watch here, you see AWS Identity Access Management. I'm going to open this in a right tab and open the S3. So AWS S3, sir. I'll scroll. Amazon S3. So I'll click on this. Good. So now this is similar to this. Actions, resource, condition key for identity. Action, resource, condition key for this. Now, friends, please, I want you to understand that this makes sense a lot. The first thing you should watch, friends, can you see this? Amazon S3. What did you see here? Service prefix S3. If you come to IAM, what did you see here? Service prefix IAM. So it is saying that anytime you want to create a policy and it is IAM you want to target, all you need to do is, let's come to this edit policy. Under the action, inside here, put a quote, okay? And say what? Put the service prefix, okay? IAM. Did you see that? If it is S3, put what? S3. Does that make sense? Take note of the, what is it called? This, whether it's capital letter or small letter, take note of it. This is S3, okay? Good. Take note of that. So this is IAM. Now, yes, I have gotten this. Now, why is it that after this, there's usually something more? If you come down here, so for instance, this is IAM. Let's come down. As you keep coming down, did you notice something? You're going to see a table called actions table. You see action, you see description, you see access level. Don't try to memorize this. Please don't memorize it. Okay? Don't memorize it. And please, I'm trying my best not to lose you all. Okay? Now, there's so many things here. But did you notice something? Did you see change password? Some of you have seen this before. You have seen this change password before when you were creating IAM users. So did you notice IAM? So if I want to create a policy for password, changing of password, can you see change password? This, this is under action. Is it not true? Remember the table starts with what? This, this heading is what? Actions. So if you scroll down, the first thing you see here is change password. So if I'm creating for IAM, what I'll do is this will be what? IAM colon what? Change password. So you need to check the way that action is. Okay. Change password. Can you see it's in capital letter? Change password. So I'll come here and do what? Change password. Now, I know some of you were saying, but it's capital letter. I deliberately typed it like this so that you see that when it has to do with that action inside here, it's not case sensitive. So even if I come here and change this to capital letter C, change password, it won't have any problem with it. So this is, so now you see this thing I'm doing here, deny IAM change password. So if I come here right now and do something like this and do asterisk, this thing I just did here, this is a policy that denies people from changing their password. If I attach this to any user, it means that user will not be able to change password. This is what it means that somebody cannot change password. Once I just attach this policy to any user, the user cannot change password. Not this second one. This is just the first statement I'm referring to. I hope this makes sense, please. Did we get it? Please type yes if you got it. Type yes if you got it. Oh my. Uh, is this still frozen for everybody? Is my screen frozen? I'm actually just this is what I'm showing. Okay, yeah, I know it's not frozen. Okay, okay. All right, good. Thank you, friends. Thank you. So, in some places it's raining, so it's possible that the network can cause a lot of issues. So please, I encourage you all, if for any reason it looks like it's happening that way, kindly just disconnect and try to join again. Okay? Please just try to disconnect and try to join again. Okay? For some reason, it might not even be me. Okay? All right. So I encourage you to please disconnect and join again. All right. So oh my God, I have less than 30 minutes to wrap up this session. So, and I've not even gone halfway. But I'm sure you all understand this action. Okay. So first of all, know the service you want to target. Okay. Get the, what is it called? The prefix. So if you come here, you see the service prefix. In other words, it starts with what? IAM. Okay. I told you how to come to this page. Aha. I walked you through all the steps how I got to this place. Okay. So if it was S3 I was dealing with, right? Supposing this is S3. If you scroll down, you'll see its own action table. This is its own action table. Did you notice? So some of you will be thinking before, watch this. Did you notice that this is what S3? And I said they are action types. If you watch here, right, you notice that I grouped the actions, data actions, bucket actions, permission action. It's just me that gave it a name. Okay. Now, but did you notice that S3 list bucket, S3 get object, S3. So this is about 6 actions, but there's more than 6. How did I know? Come here. Did you see? This is S3 page, right? This is the S3 page. What did he call it? Actions, what? Defined by Amazon S3. Okay, so if you scroll down, watch all these things you are seeing here. I didn't know more than 6. See, this is create bucket. If you want the person to be able to create a bucket, did you see? How many have you counted? I'm sure you've counted more than 6 or more than 10. So there are so many of them, so many of them. So in the real world, right? In the real world, you don't need to memorize it. That's why the documentation is always there. And that's why I'm teaching you. So you only just know what you want to do. Then come here and search for it, copy and paste. That is all. You don't need to memorize it. You don't need to memorize it. I hope this makes sense. Okay. So if I want to delete a bucket, all I need to do, will I have to start scrolling down here looking for how to delete a bucket? No, just press Control F, and then you type delete. So can you see this is delete access grant? Click here to go down, to keep going down until you find delete bucket. So let's see. Now I can come here and put it together. Let's see if I can put it together. Good. You see, I found it. So this is delete bucket. So anybody that has this action, it grants permission to delete the bucket named in the URI. So this is just ability to delete a bucket. So this is S3. So if I want to use this now, how do I use it? It means I'll come here and say, instead of, okay, let's leave this one for IAM and use this one for S3. So let's come back here. Let's come back here, remove everything so that nobody gets confused. So you see, it's empty now. Is it not true? If I want to put the action just for S3, I'll come here and do what? Double quotes. Did you see that? Then what is the service prefix? S3. Is it not true? You put a column. Okay. Now, which action do you want it to perform? So I'll come here. What I want is delete buckets. So I'll come here and put what? Delete. I told you it's either uppercase or lowercase. Either of them work. Did you see that? So S3 delete bucket. Friends, I hope this makes sense. So this is a policy that is going to, so how do I know to understand how this works, right? So there's something there's actually many things here, okay? But I want to limit it to just these four, okay? I think there are about 10 or so. This policy structure or this statement structure you see here, this statement structure or elements, they're about, I think, more than 10. So there's SID, there's effect, there's action, there's resource, there's another one called principal. Some of you may have seen it. There's principal. Do you understand? There's so many of them. There's even what is it called? There's condition. But right now, I won't touch all those things. It's too advanced, okay? It's too advanced. So I'm trying my best to wrap it up so that I don't confuse you all. So, friends, this is how the action works. So now, this is just one of them. So if I want to create a policy that somebody can delete a bucket, so you can only create and delete buckets. You can only create and delete buckets. So if I come here and I'm looking for create buckets, so I'll come here and type create bucket. So can you see this is create bucket? So this is the name. So I'll look for the name. This is exactly how it is. So I'll come here. Now, in this action, because it's an array using block, you can have more than one action. So just like we have this first one with quote here, I can come here and put a comma. You see that? And put another quote and say S3 column. Did you see that? And say create bucket. Did you see that? So what does this mean? So this one means that this statement means that this is allowing you to only, what can you do? So this is what can this person, anybody that has this policy, what can the person do? The person can delete a bucket and the person can create a bucket. Do you know that as a cloud engineer, you can be tasked to create a policy that does not allow people to stop EC2 instances or to delete a bucket? They can do anything, but they cannot delete buckets so that you can monitor what they are doing. Do you understand? So you can say, right now, I say, I want them to be able to create buckets and delete the buckets. So although this looks interesting, but this is flawed, because if you create the bucket how do you view what is inside the bucket? There's actually a policy for it. And if you check here, you see that I told you that there's something called list bucket. This one lists the objects in an S3 bucket. If you want to be able to upload something inside the bucket, you have to put something called put object, which is used to upload an object to the bucket. You see all these things here, I got them from this place. So if you come here now and look for put bucket, right? If you come here and look for the one, let's see, put bucket, let's see. Uh, no. This is not what I'm looking for. Let's see. Put object. Yeah, I was correct. I just yes. So object. Can you see? Put object. So inside here, it grants permission to add an object into a bucket. Can you see? So I don't need to memorize it. It's already there. So all your job is just to go through this documentation. Now, it's not this complex, I can assure you. Okay. I know some of you never imagined that this side of it exists. Remember somebody in the last class, someone said we've already done this. And I told the person there's actually more. You understand? So I'm sure some of you have learned one or two things on how, what is it called? Buckets work. You understand? um, Mr. Elijah, don't worry. We'll soon wrap up, okay? We'll soon wrap up. So now this is how it works. So for every service, please go and check the actions. You'll be able to find them there. Okay. So just to wrap it up here. So I want you to understand that you can put one object here, one action here. You can put another action. So it's not even just for S3. Do you know that I can put another service? So you may be wondering, S3, what if I only want to give the person access to S3 and to EC2? Okay, so I can come here and say S3. Now, did you see delete bucket? I can remove this bucket, this aspect of this bucket, and say, because there are so many actions, right? I want the person to be able to do anything on S3. You guys have heard about S3 full access, right? So if you remove this delete bucket and put column and put asterisk, this is what S3 full access looks like. Wildcard, this wildcard means you can do anything on S3. So I don't need to put this create bucket again. Do you understand? So now if I want the person to have access to S3 and to EC2, I can come here and do EC2, and then come here. Now, and do what? Asterisk here. So this is S3 and EC2. So the person has full access to S3 and EC2. Please, I hope this makes sense. As many services as possible, you can put all of them inside this action. All right, let's move to the last one, which is resource. Okay, resource. How does resource work? So, friends, I want you to know that every action has its own resource that it works with. So you don't just come here and put anything you feel like. Okay? For instance, if you come here and look at this, right? Now, I know I talked about principal. So, but right now, the only thing you should not just know about principal is principal talks about who can do what, who can do something. Is he a user? Is he a role or a service? Okay. So don't worry for the, let's see if we have time. I'll try and touch this. So, but don't worry about, we've done this action right now. Okay. So this resource, if you watch, this is how the resource looks like. You get, this is how the resource looks like. Now, let me explain this resource very well so that you all understand. Anytime you create a service in AWS, there is what we call, AWS refers to it as a resource. Okay. I think I've talked about resource before. Okay. With a resource, you create, with a service, you create a resource. Okay. Now, AWS identifies each resource with a unique number. One resource is different from another resource. Okay, how does AWS know which one is which? For instance, if you create a bucket and you have so many objects inside that bucket, if I say I don't want you to be able to touch the bucket that I labeled Achiever, how does AWS know that exact bucket and prevent people from accessing it? It is with the help of what we call the resource. Okay, so AWS uses what we call Amazon Resource Name, which is ARN. Let me show you. So if you come here and type ARN format, ARN format, okay, you're going to see this. Okay, please, I want you to watch the video. ARN format. Okay, I'll click on this and it's going to show us this Amazon resource names. Okay, so can you see this is the format? This is what it looks like. If you're going to be writing AWS exams, these things are very, very important. If you want to become a cloud certified person, they ask this kind of questions. In fact, everything I taught you today, it's part of the things they ask. Okay, so please, I encourage you to pay rapt attention. Okay, so we're about wrapping up. Okay, so this ARN format, I won't go so deep inside it. Okay, so because if you see something like this, ARN column, AWS column, S3 column, customer data, you'll be confused. What is all this? Don't worry, I got you. All you need to do is just come here. This is the format. Okay, now anytime AWS has ARN. They just call it ARN, which is Amazon Resource Name. It always starts with ARN. Then you put column. Then the next thing you have is partition. Okay. Now you'll be wondering, what is partition? AWS says there are only 3 partition. They said it can be AWS region, or it can be China region, or it can be AWS government cloud US region. Okay. So it must be one of these 3. So if ARN column, if it is AWS regions, like all the regions you have on your AWS, okay, like if you come here, okay, I think we're in the documentation. For instance, if you come here, all the regions that we have under these sections, right? All these regions here, they fall under this one called AWS regions. Okay, so what do you do here? Instead of partition, you say ARN column AWS. Watch it again. Watch this. Did you see ARN column AWS? Good. So that's what you see under partition. Okay. Now the next thing is service. Which service do you want to use? Okay. So if the service is S3 or anything, so if you scroll down, it will tell you the service namespace that identifies the AWS product. Now they usually use big grammar to confuse people. Just know that it has to do with the service. So if it's the ARN for S3, you just put S3 here. If it's IAM, you put IAM. Whatever it is, just put the name of the service here. Okay, good. So you know what? Let me copy this and use. So let's paste it here so that I'll be doing it here. So ARN column. So I told you partition is what? AWS, except you have any other one. Column. Service, which of the service? If it's S3, just put S3. Okay, column. Now, region, which region is that where you want to apply that policy, right? Remember, you are applying this policy to for a particular purpose. Okay, now we have what we call user-based policy, we have what we call resource-based policy. But again, I don't want to go into those things. But friends, just know that if it's a particular region you are targeting, okay, just choose the region from what I showed you here. Okay, now once you choose the region, specify it here. So it could be US-East, okay, -1. Okay, so if you watch this example here, you'll notice that this is ARN, this is AWS, this is S3. Okay, now watch what I'm doing here. Did you notice that after each one of them, there is a column? Now, friends, as much as this, if you watch here, this is the ARN. Sometimes S3 says, don't bother yourself. So if you come here, watch, this is what you see here, okay? Now, did you notice that S3 says don't bother about the regions? Because S3 is a global service sometimes. They don't bother about putting a region. So if I don't want to put the region, I can remove it, okay? Now, if nothing is going to be there, AWS says just put a column. Do you notice that? So that's why if you notice that there's two columns, it means there's nothing inside here. So the next one is what? Account ID. All you need to do is to come here and get your account ID. Do you understand? So you can put your account ID there. Whatever your account ID is, 349, anything your account ID is. Some services don't need account ID. You can come here and now put what? Column. Did you see that? So we've done this one, we've done region, we've done account ID. Did you see that? Now, the next one is what? Resource ID. So resource ID. Where do you get the resource ID? For instance, if it is a bucket, everything has a resource. Okay, let me show you something. Um, let's let me show you an S3 bucket. I'll click here. Friends, we are wrapping up. Okay, we are wrapping up. I'll click on buckets. I'll click on buckets. Good. So these are different buckets. Is it not true? I'm going to click on one of these buckets called beautiful buckets. Now, you see this bucket we created right now. Now, I want you to see something. If you click on properties, watch what is going to happen. What did you see here, friends? Did you see Amazon resource name? You can copy it. So did you notice that instead of all these things I was doing, you can always find it here? Can you see? So can you see it follows exactly the same format? The last one is resource ID, which is beautiful bucket, which is what we have here. So this is just, so if this bucket here is beautiful bucket, so let's go back to our policy. So if you wanted to put, if you are targeting S3, right? You have to put the resources here. So this asterisk means any of all the resources inside S3 and EC2. But if you want to do it for each one of them, you have to put the resource ID like this. So in this case of S3, you can paste this here. Did you see that? Now, what about the EC2? You now have to put a comma, okay, and then create the EC2's resource. That is if you are using two services. But if it is just S3 like this is enough. Please remove this comma. That's why we get this error. So friends, this is how to create a policy. To tie everything together and wrap up this session, let's create a simple static website and I'll show you how to use a policy on it. Okay? Create a simple website and I'll show you how to create a policy in it. So I'm sure you all have seen this. Okay? So even though I did not touch one thing, which is very important, called principal. Okay? So in case you see principal, it's just talking about who. Who are you referring to? Is it a user? Is it a role? Or is it a service? If it's a user, for instance, you see this S3 where you say, or this, for instance, look at this one here, right? Whereby you said you want to create a policy. Let's say we don't have this. Let's, so this is one. Let's come here and delete this. You see this, it has only one statement, right? This is a policy. And you say this policy should, anybody that has this policy should do what? Should not be able to change password. Do you know that you can be more specific and say who in particular? Who in particular? Is he a user or a group? So you can see a specific group. How do you do that? Principal. So if I come here and put comma, right, and hit enter and do this, you're going to see there's something called principal. Principal. So if you come here, do this. Did you see that? Now, you can now do this. Now, if you watch this, And let's do this. Now this takes actually an array. I think that's why we are getting that error. Let's do this. So let's see. Comma, let's see. Invalid principal format. Principal. I hope I'm not getting any mistake in the name. Let's check this. Principal. Okay, you see, principal is using an object instead of a square bracket. So all I need to do is just to correct it. So if I come here, instead of using this square, I'll change it. What it uses is this. Okay, it uses this. So inside this object, you can put two different users. If I said I want to deny two users, for instance, come here and say, let's go to IAM and click on users. And I say, I don't want Abiola and Ashraf. Abiola and Ashraf. I don't want them to be able to change their password, right? So I'm specific who. So it can be a user or group. So if I want to target this user, how do I do it? Click on this user. Every user has its own ARN. Can you see it here? ARN. Just copy this. Copy this ARN. Come to this place. Under principal, put the quotes. Did you see that? And paste it there. Did you see what I did here? This is being specific, right? Now, but if you watch here, let's see. I want to be sure that I'm not missing anything. Let's see. JSON syntax. Just to be sure. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, yes, I understand what's going on here. So, let's do this. So, usually, this is before we paste this. We usually do something like this. Do this and just put AWS column, and then we'll put an array, because this is like saying you want to target who is the principal, is in AWS and so on. But now all this thing I'm saying, you can actually check the documentation. You understand? You can always check the documentation. Okay. So if I come here, or you can use Google and say IAM policy, you understand, and say principal, you understand, principal example, you click on this AWS JSON policy elements principal, you click on it. All right, let's wait a little bit. Good. So principal, you scroll down, you see it tells you specify a principal in the principal element. So it's telling you can attack, you can use principal for this, this, or this. Okay. Now let's just go straight to the point. This is how it looks like. Can you see? This is what I mean. Okay. So you can actually read more so that you can understand more of it. Okay. So, but if this is the example we have, so I can copy this now and come here. So under this principal, I can just come here and paste it. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, let's remove this so that I don't get it all mixed up. Let's paste it here. So this is what it looks like. You understand? Now it has an object, and you see inside it, you have this AWS column, and then you have this array, and then several things inside. So this is what we have here. Okay. This is what we have here. And then we have this AWS, which is this. And then we have this square bracket. And inside this square bracket, we can have two different things there. Do you understand? So now I'm going to remove this right now. So if you do this right now, you see this is empty. Okay. So what is it called? Which user, who do you want to deny access from changing password? In this case, is Abiola, right? So we can come here and paste that Abiola's identity. Do you understand? Now, but we're still seeing this. unsupported principal. Okay, let's say. Let me be sure. Now, one way we can do it, just to check if your syntax is correct, we can always use a lot of JSON formatter. If you come here and type JSON formatter, right? And you can use this or beautifier, good, and paste your code here and say validate. So I don't think there's any error. So if there was any error, for instance, if I put a comma here or a semicolon and I say validate, you see, it will give me an error here. You see that? So, but if I remove this error and say validate, I don't think I should get any error. Let's see. This guy is weird. I've actually removed it, so this is good. This is good. Let's validate. Uh, let's remove this. Clear. Validate. Okay, validate. Okay, good. It's not seeing anything. So, friends, this is now for some reason we are still getting this. Okay, let me see. Put a space here. Let me see. Put a space here. Let me try maintain AWS format and by saying we do it like this. Let's see. So this is this. We have this, curly bracket. This is torn, this is torn. Just to be sure, let's come here and check this. AWS column, square bracket, this. Let's come and see some examples here. So this is it, ARN, AWS IAM column. So unsupported format. Let's use this format here. So this is a user, right? So, or let's check and see for a particular user. I'm sure we should be able to see for user, okay? So this is how it works. Okay, let's see. I think they've removed, okay. Either you use this method or you use this method. So, but I think it's almost similar, but let's use this one. I'm getting all this from the documentation. So I'll come here and remove this and paste this. So this is what we have here. AWS ARN account ID. Let's see. Unsupported principal errors, invalid ARN accounts. Yeah, I know it should not be that because this is the correct one. I'll come here and do this. So and paste this. Let's remove this and paste it again to be sure. Let's see. Come on. AWS column ARN is still telling unsupported principal. Let's see. Okay. I think the reason why I'm getting this might be because I'm trying to edit this policy, but that shouldn't be the case. Let's see. Friends, we're actually done. I'm just trying to fix this error, okay? So please bear with me. Let's see. Username, column closed, okay? Principal, spelled it, so if your principal element in a row, trust, okay? I don't want to use this. So we usually use this asterisk if we want to tag, we don't want to target any, we want to target all the users. Okay. So, but let me see if I can try this without the AWS. So Let me remove this in C and do this. It's still unsupported. Okay, JSON, it's now JSON issue. Okay, let me see. This is done. Comma closed here. Let's see. Where should be the problem? Let's copy this and come to our beautifier. Paste it. Validate. Okay, line 9, which is this line 9 dot 220. Let's see. Expecting a column, but it got a comma. It got is okay. Let's see. Okay, expecting a comma, but it got a column. Let's see. Okay, friends, you know what? Just because I don't want it, so this is weird, but I'll probably check it up just so that I don't waste much time and keep you all stranded here, because ideally this is how we're supposed to get this principle. This is how it's supposed to work. Once you have something like this, ARN, AWS, then this, then you have the ID. Then if it's a user or a group or a role or a service, then you put it here. So in our own case, we specified user, we put a slash and then specify the name of the user you want to either allow or deny. Okay, so for some reason, let's just use all asterisks, okay, so that we keep the class simple. So I'll come here and let me remove this and say it's still invalid principal format. I know. So, but let's use square bracket here and say something. Square bracket. But if I remove all this and put asterisks, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Principal. I hope my spelling is still correct. Principal. I'm correct. So I'll do this. Let's see if I do this. Just to be sure. Curly bracket. Why is this giving an issue? Let's bring this up here and see something. Okay, so I'll remove this comma here, right? And put it up here and paste this here and put a comma. So ideally, principal is supposed to put a space, put this. So okay, I think I know. Oh, now I understand the reason. So friends, this is exactly what's happening. Not I think unsupported. If you watch this, it says unsupported principal. I just remembered now. So this particular one will not accept this principal. Okay, so even if you watch this GUI here, you'll notice that there is no principal, because in this case, we are editing a policy for an IAM user. If I was doing this under a resource, I would have needed this, what is it called? This principal. But in this case, I am doing it under a user. So there's no need putting this principal. I just remembered right now. So if you are putting this under maybe S3, so let's do it practically and then wrap up the class. I'll close this and let's cancel this. Continue. So let's go to S3 and sorry friends, I stayed longer. I just We're going to wrap up in less than 5 minutes. So I'll come here and create a bucket. I'll call it my personal site. Good. 2024. Please let's mute ourselves. Let's mute ourselves. I'm wondering. My personal site 2024-02. So I'll choose this and unblock this. Unblock this. Okay. And choose this. Come down. Okay, that's all I did. Okay, I create a simple bucket and click on create bucket. Good. Now, where's the bucket? This one, my personal site. I'll click on this. Now, right now, I'm going to upload something here. Okay, or let's go to properties first of all. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see static website hosting. So I'll click on edit, enable. All right, we've done this before. So I'll just come here and say index.html. Okay, and yeah, that's all. For the example I want to do, I'll just click on save changes. All right, so yeah, so right now it's empty. So if I click on this, of course, you're going to see we should probably get an error. Yeah, forbidden because there's nothing there. So if I come here, okay, and come to objects, I need that index.html. So if I click on these actions, there's nothing here. I can either create a folder or create a file, but I'll click on this. Let's upload, add files. Let's see where I can get something. Let's click on Fred. You know what? Let me quickly create one. So I'll click on this, create, and say index.html, and say it works. Okay, that's what I have inside it. So let's go and locate that file. It's inside Cloud Engineering Bootcamp, day 7. This is the index.html. So I choose this and upload it. And I click on upload. Good. So it means if I come here and reload this, okay, now, good. Now, right now, if you watch here, this is forbidden. Access denied, access denied. Good. So if I come here, I've uploaded an index.html file. Now, if you close this, I told you before how to do it. There are several things you need to do, right? So, I'm going to come here right now under this bucket policy. I'll click on edit. Okay. And let's put this. And so did you notice for some reason the error is not on principal? Do you understand? For some reason the error is not on principal. Okay, so but action, yeah, so this is for S3. So why should I be putting IAM? So if I come here, I'll just come here and say S3. Okay, and there's no action such as change password. Okay, invalid action. Can you see? And I've told you about action. So in this case, what kind of action do I want the person to do? I've told you different types of action. Okay, so I just want the person to be able to retrieve or list the object. If I want the person to be able to get an object, just to retrieve the object, so I'll use this get object. Okay, so I can copy this, come here and just put it here. Okay, now if you notice that error is gone. Then what about resource? If you watch here, unsupported resource ARN in the policy. So if you come here and you need to specify. So if I come here and click here, so you can click here. I can even use this. If I wanted to use under this resource section, if I come here, did you see add a resource? If I click on this, It will tell me which service is S3. You can say all of them or the specific object. This is what you have. So this is how it looks like. Did you notice what I taught you all? This is just how it looks like. So all you need to do is to get the bucket name, get the object name. And once the bucket name, this is my bucket name. So I can come here, copy this bucket name, remove the curly braces and paste it here. The object name is what is inside the object. In this case, it is index.html. But if I want it to everything, I can put asterisks, everything. So if I do something like this, so this is what we have here. So I don't need this anymore. So I'll remove this one. So did you notice that error is gone? So this is how a resource looks like. Did you see that? So if this is denied, don't forget. So I can come here and change this to what? Allow. Actually, I don't need principal in this, so I'll just remove this. You understand? So this has this. Let me be sure. Missing principal. Okay, it needs it. I don't actually need it, but let's bring it back. So okay, good. So if I come here right now and save changes, good. If I come here and reload, did you see? It works. Friends, did you see that? This is the policy. Okay, sorry, I took 15 minutes extra, but this is how policy works. This is everything about, there's more, much more, right? But this is a good way to understand more about policy. Now, the security best practice I want you to take away from this is what we call principle of least privilege. Least privilege. Okay. Now, if you notice that this principle is asterisk, right? I've told you about the principle. So if we had come here, right? And I want to target a specific person, right? If I come here and say, I only want to allow, so there are different kinds of things we can do, but time is failing me to explain so many things. All right. So, but I can still come here. So this asterisk means everybody is allowed. But if I change this right now and put a specific username, only that username will be able to view this website. Nobody else will be able to do it. That's the essence of this principle. So it can also be a group of people. It can be a user. It can be a role. It can be a service. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where we draw the curtain. I think we've been able to do justice. So policy generator, we did it in the last class. And I'm sure everybody will know how to use policy generator right now just to generate policies. Okay? Just to generate a policy. All those things I taught you how to do, you can just come here now and just put it will generate and click on an add statement and generate it. Okay? It will generate the policy for you. That's just what this is used for. In case you don't know how to do it. When we started, we used this policy generator to generate the policy. You understand? If I come and say S3 and I want it to allow, I want anybody. You understand? So that's just how all this works. You can come here and say, although this how it's looking like. If I say generate policy, this is what it looks like. Okay, I'm sure you all understand this. The last one, which is policy simulator, is just you want to test what that policy can do. Okay, testing IAM policy. So I'll allow you all to go and practice this one. Okay, practice this one yourself. If you create a policy, you want to know how that policy is going to work before you apply it to a user. So this is what IAM policy simulator looks like. Okay, now try it and let me know. And if you are unable to do it, I can either send you a resource or I'll explain it in the next class. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to draw the curtain for today's session. I know we did a whole lot of technical things and we went deep. So, but I'm sure it's going to make more sense when you begin to practice and play around it. Okay. So please, this should not be the reason if you didn't get it at all. This shouldn't be the reason why you just give up on cloud engineering. Please. All right. I know we went higher. We just climbed. We just entered a new gear suddenly. I understand, but please, I just want you to just watch the video again and give it a trial. You might not get it in the first time. Trust me, when I was learning all this, it did not sink in the first 1 year. I can guarantee you some of these things. Okay. So at least you know there's such a thing as that. And over time, it will begin to make sense to you. All right. So this is where we're going to stop for today. I really hope today's session has been informative for you all. If the answer is yes, I really want to thank you for joining me. Oh, thank you so much, everybody. So, do you have questions for me? Or we should just draw the curtain and end it for today? Okay, so I think we have one person that has a question. So, Mr. Babatunde, do you have a question? I'll just allow you to say something. And then if nobody else, then we'll just wrap it up. Can you please unmute yourself? Okay, you're welcome, sir. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for the class.
You're welcome, sir.
We get an idea of what you want to do, what we are trying to pass across, and I don't want to take everyone's time because everyone will have to go and learn after this. But the thing is, my own problem is in that documentation. The earlier part was there was one place where you are asking, you're checking, oh, what will it be? Like we say S3, column, then object. Now in that documentation, I didn't really get in that documentation. I got it in your own PDF, in your own PDF and your own document where you are writing it out. Like put buckets, get buckets. It's not clear in that documentation. The way you put it in your own something like S3 column, get bucket, S3 column, split bucket is that one is clearer, but that one nobody will get it through that documentation. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Mr. Babatunde. Now I'm laughing because I can relate with you because a lot of people, if you go online and Google or ask a lot of persons, they feel frustrated with documentation. In fact, in the IT or tech field, documentation matters a lot. And some people get frustrated because, in fact, that's why some people who create YouTube videos, they do the hard work of going to go and read the documentation because majority of what we are teaching you today is in the documentation. Everything you want to do on AWS is in the documentation, but sometimes they're not written in a way that is user friendly, right? If I didn't copy it out there, you see, you wouldn't have gotten it. But the truth is this: learning how to read documentation is a skill on its own, right? While I know it might be very difficult, right? And I cannot tell you right now that I will go and get all the whole services and then explain it like that. Do you get? But it's something you need to be very intentional and then use other materials online. So that's why when you Google, right, and the documentation comes, if you try to read it, it didn't make sense. Check other links. Somebody must have written an article on it. Somebody must have posted something on their blog or on their website. So that's why I'm even encouraging you all to even create your own blogs and articles, right? Because you're going to help somebody in the future, right? That is just starting out. You understand? So I hope this has clarified you.
Yes, thank you very much. And number two, okay, now what is if just personally, do you think is the advantage of knowing these JSON scripts? Because now it seems to me that the policy generator will do virtually everything that we are trying to learn.
Okay, if like I did not,
the policy generator, I think it will really can. Is it that it can't do everything? That's why you went through. We have to learn that the JSON scripting, that JSON own parts. Is it that it can't create any kind of policy that
if you
watch
here, you won't be able to see EC2 here. Can you see EC2 here?
No.
So if you want to create a policy for EC2, how do you go about it if you don't know anything about it? Okay. So I think right now it's just limited limited to some popular services. You understand?
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
why I had to teach you guys how to read a JSON document. If you know how JSON, once you understand the structure of a JSON document, over time, gradually, it will be able to make sense. Okay. I'll try and see if I can send some videos or some materials that will touch on JSON a little bit again, just so that those who wants to dive deeper should. Okay. But in case it doesn't make sense, so this is the big disclaimer I want to put, right? If everything I did today did not make sense to you or did not sink yet, please just put it somewhere and continue. Just continue the program. Pretend as though you didn't join today's class and just continue. It's not going to impact, it's not going to hinder you, right? But it's just that sometimes there are some, the more you know, the better you can do some things. Okay. Just like all the use cases I put down here, right? And I tell you, maybe somebody gave you a task, okay, and said you should interns in a company needs access to specific documents stored in an S3 bucket, but they should only be able to view these documents, not modify or delete them. This is it. This is it. This is just a simple task. You see that? And because I've taught you now, if you look at this, you can do it. And this is the explanation for it. The principal is the interns group is allowed access. Action, they can only get object. Get object means to read something. They can only get object the documents, which means they can only read the documents. Resource, this access is limited to the object inside the intent documents bucket because there's an S3 bucket called intent documents. So this is just explaining everything. And then there's a real world impact so that you understand this provides the interns with the necessary access for their work while preventing them from accidentally or intentionally altering or deleting the files. So this is another use case, managing EC2 instances with specific permissions to start and stop instances. You understand? So these are practical use cases. If someone asks you to create a policy to automate the backing up of a particular database, this is the policy that does it. So I know right now it may not make sense, but trust me, in the future, you really appreciate this if you don't give up. Okay. Just take your time, watch it, and it will make sense. Okay. Or this one that says granting access to a third party vendor. Maybe your company has an auditor that is coming and the auditor wants to be able to do something. Okay, he wants to perform backup on the S3 bucket. You can create a policy for the person. You understand? And this is how it works. Okay, so it's not just knowing the policy, but understanding when and where to apply it. That's I want you all to think. That's the thought process I'm trying to impact into you all. Okay, please watch it again and again, and we have the whole weekend coming ahead to watch it again and again. All right. I hope this has addressed your question, Mr. Babatunde.
Yes. Yes. Please. Are you going to share this document with us? This one
Yes,
you
I'll share.
plan.
I'll upload everything to the Google Drive. I will. Please, friends. I know there are some documents I promised to share before. If for any reason I've not shared anything I have said I will before, please always let Miss Vivian know, or you just send it to my DM, okay? Or you just drop it and tag me, okay? She will pass it across to me. I'll try to upload it as well. Okay. Because of the nature of my work and other trainings that I do, I'm usually not active on Telegram. Okay. And I could forget. Okay. Let's
Sorry.
unmute Mr. Jafar.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Sorry. Last one. What's your Twitter handle name? I've been looking for it, please. I'm sorry.
Okay. I think somebody dropped it when I checked online today. So, but let me show you. You can see in online, sir. I'll click on this. So I do X here. This is it. I'm rarely here anyway, but this is it. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. And my LinkedIn is there, so in case you prefer that one. Okay. So,
Thank you.
Mr. Jafar, you have something to say? Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Frederick. Thank you very much, as always. Mine for tonight is not a question, but a contribution and also appreciation. What we have experienced in tonight's class is only telling us that it's not going to be easy, soft, and sweet all the way. And what we
It
have
will be
seen,
sweet. It will be sweet.
no,
It's just that
no,
sometimes there's usually gallop or
yeah,
bumps
that's
on the
what I'm
road. You
saying.
understand? So
And
once you
that's what
just
I'm
move
saying.
on, you'll be fine.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And this it's telling us that we need to also get prepared for troubleshooting, so that whenever it gets we come across gallops, we shouldn't give up. At least by continuously troubleshooting,
Yes,
we'll get ourselves on the track. I think that is what I take from tonight's class. Thank you very much, sir, as
you're
always.
welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let me show. Somebody is asking where to find all those things. This is the drive. Okay. So usually upload some things inside the resource. If there's any link or maybe some books that I create also, you will find them here. Just check the folders. Then for the videos, you're going to find the live session recordings here. Okay. Training session, you'll find them here. All right. Good. So friends, I think I have another class actually. So if there's any other question, let me see. Okay, I think that's all. Those are the persons that have questions to ask. All right, friends, thank you so much. And we're going to stop recording right now. Thank you so much for staying this long with me and for joining the session. Please continue to talk about your progress, continue to